Look, there's lots of beautiful music, but occasionally you hear music that you think, I've never encountered anything that's beautiful in this way, or that's expressive in this way.
We did a program of mostly Ockeghem, a sort of sampler. We did this program and I thought, well, he really is one of the best composers of all time. And I would like to do all of his music before I die. And that's a realistic prospect because there's not hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces. There's about 24 songs and 4 motets and a little more than a dozen masses. So one can think of doing it. And his 600th anniversary, his 600th birthday is coming up at some point in the next 5 years or so.
We might have just missed it, but it's nearby. This is a composer who has existed in people's minds more than their ears for a very long time. From not too long after his death, in 1497, you have people writing about him in these, these superlatives of all sorts. Not simply that he was a wonderful musician, but he's the one who rediscovers music. We have someone in the 1560s, an Italian, who probably only knew him by reputation. He certainly wouldn't have known him personally. He might not have known any of his music. But he compares him to Donatello in sculpture. He had one of the best gigs in Europe when he died, and he was the premier chapelain at the French royal court, and had been for about 50 years, 45 years, I guess. This was, and he was also the treasurer of a very big church and abbey in the city of Toul, a position that the king bestowed upon him early on in his time there, and that's a position that made him a wealthy man. He was a landowner. This was not someone living in a garret. This was someone who was at the center of French cultural life, and at least at one remove from French political life. Some people used to think that this was a picture of him. There's a lot of debate about whether this is an actual depiction of him. When it was first presented to the scholarly community about 17, 18 years ago, there were people who thought that this was a depiction of Ockeghem, the treasurer. I'm not sure I really believe it, and because the evidence against it is also compelling, but that's probably as close as we're going to get. But then we have a painting from him a painting of him after his death, probably by someone who might or might not have known him. It's hard to know really. Someone in the French royal court, but it's years after his death, where he's depicted.
Which one do you think he is?
There's a depiction of a group of singers standing around a large lectern, in a rather opulent church. And everyone always assumed that Ockeghem, in this particular group, was the old guy wearing little dark, thick black glasses. But someone suggested there's a younger singer there in red, who's rather handsome. In the middle. And someone said, well, maybe that's Ockeghem, because he is described as having been handsome and virtuous and a great singer and all.
He might be conducting it.
But I'll tell you, I think he is the guy in the glasses. I'll tell you why. I figured glasses were still fairly unusual.
Yeah.
It was a mark of distinction.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And beyond that, I came across an illustration in a manuscript, I think it's 14th or 15th century, and it's a depiction of Moses. And he's wearing those glasses.
So Ockeghem is about these long, long melodies spinning out and not a very rational relationship between words and music. They're wonderful melodies. There's this wonderful intimacy of it. I mean, there are extended passages that are just two people singing together, or three or four, and so it's enacting a kind of human conversation in melody and harmonic relationships and rhythmic relationships. I mean, so it's incredibly captivating to listen to.
Is that this is a composer of a rare sensibility, whose songs, motets, and masses reveal to us a very often subtle but extraordinary sense of gesture, of melodic contour, of one line reflecting another, responding to another. One of the glories of being able to see this music done live, as you will tonight, is you can observe as the singers, in a sense, respond to one another. It is not just for show. The music compels one to do it. When one of your colleagues makes this gesture with a line and yours responds somehow directly, it's a very human response, deeply human. And it irrigates the music of Ockeghem, those kinds of gestures. It's one of the many things that make him, as Scott has suggested, certainly one of the greatest composers in the entire Western tradition. I'm delighted that we're beginning this whole long project. I'm delighted you're here, and I hope you'll enjoy the concert tonight. Thank you.